check it out. Welcome, everybody, to the very first installment, count it one, of Gaming Veterans Unplugged. Okay? Here to introduce you to us four crazy homies. Talk a little bit about our lives. We're going to talk about some veteran shit, talk about some gaming shit, all of that, right? This is the outlet for anybody, whether you game, whether you're a vet, whether you're both, whatever, right? So let me introduce you. These are my three amigos. CruzNate, he'll introduce himself. Lethargic Panda,
also known as Brian.
And Brian. And then Drills Your Mama, Daniel.
That's staying in. That's staying in.
What up?
So check it out. I'm Donnie to the D. It's also my gamer tag. If you ever want to check it out, all of us game. I am a retired Air Force vet. I have been retired for almost it's 9 years, 2025. Dang. 9 years this year. Shit. I'm a 40-year-old veteran. I enjoy playing video games. These guys have actually got me on other video games, but I used to only play Call of Duty. So yeah, man, I did my time, served my time, fought for my country, spent a lot of time in the desert, in the jungle, all of that fun stuff. But yeah, man, I was excited to do this podcast because it gives people like me and people like these guys, you know, some of these my buddies are active duty. I'm a veteran. Jose is a guard reserve.
A weekend warrior.
Weekend warrior, homie.
Yeah, he's a weekend warrior, but whatever. We still love him, right? Because they still put boots on the ground every once in a while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They do some of the stuff that we don't want to do too. So you know what I mean. So like I said, I'm retired. Yeah, I'm retired. I don't do much now. I enjoy my 100% disability paycheck that comes in, and I just live my life, man. And I hang out with these guys most nights of the week, to be honest with you. And that's kind of some of the stuff we're going to talk about is the benefits of technology, really, right? Because all four of us are in 4 different locations. Yeah. So, yeah, so that's a little bit about myself, man. Like I said, Donnie to the D. I'll go by Donnie, whatever. I'll pass over to one of these guys, and they can introduce themselves and kick it off. We'll get started. We'll start talking.
Hey, I'm CruzNate, also known as Jose Cruz. Not Jose, Jose. As I said, I'm also a vet. Not retired yet. I'm trying to get there. It'll be 15 years for me next month.
Hey, congratulations.
15 years in for me. And then disabled vet as well. I'm at 100 yet. I'm at 90. So hopefully I'll get there one day. So yeah, hey, in the same way, I stream CruzNate, my gaming tag. CruzNate Chronicles is my YouTube bet. I'm also from Texas. Or I think I'm the only one from Texas. Everybody else is from different areas.
I mean, I'm in Texas.
I mean, yeah, you're in Texas, but not from Texas, right?
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, I like gaming too. I like to play a little bit of everything. My main thing is horror games because I am not as good as I used to be. I mean, I don't think I was ever really good at playing COD, but I am definitely not as good as I was back in my prime, whatever that was. That's a little bit. That's basically it. So, I think Panda was the next one he introduced.
No, I'll let Danny go.
Okay. So my name is drllze, y'all. Real name is Danny to the G Gonzalez. I've been in the military for about it'll be 9 years. 9 years in March.
Hey.
So yeah, man. Active duty. Currently stationed in South Dakota. It is hella cold here. But it's fun. It's a good time. I got my family down here and all that. I've been into video games since I can't remember. I want to say since Nintendo days. I'm talking about Super Nintendo. My mom had one. My mom had a Super Nintendo, and that's how I got hooked into it. We played Super Mario, and yeah, man, I hit it off right there and then.
The dude is a prophet when it comes to video games, just so everybody knows. Okay,
He is the perk when it comes to Warzone.
He's not good at all of them. He's the best at every one of them.
Everything we play.
He carries us all.
Fuck yeah, he got a strong back. These three clowns.
But yeah, that's it. That's it for me. Brian?
All right, save the quiet one for last. But I got a baby sleeping, so can't be too loud. But like I said, name's Brian. Gamer tag Lethargic Panda. You can ask me what it means later. Most people don't know. But active as well. I'm over here in Florida. Been in 12 years.
My man.
Going for the long haul, because why not? I'll be at 17 at the end of this contract, so might as well just tough it out the next 3. But yeah, short and sweet. I met these guys gaming. Met Donnie back in Texas when I was stationed there. It's like another big brother to me.
Yeah.
And then let's see, I met Danny. Danny gaming in Germany through another military friend, and Jose through another military friend. So it's like that's how we're all interconnected, one way or the other. But yeah, looking forward to doing this podcast and unplugging.
Right on.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to talk about. So, kind of with our introduction, just as a caveat, right? I'm the one that talks a lot. You'll notice, everybody who's watching. So I'll kick a lot of this stuff off and whatever. But yeah, so let's talk about that real quick, right? So me and Brian met, chime in, how many years ago?
2014, 15?
Yeah, 2014, 15. So 10, 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
We played softball together religiously, right? Played for the base out here.
Base team,
and I'm in Abilene, Texas. Brian was here at one point. So me and Brian met back in those days. We hit it off pretty quick. Good buddies on the ball field. Great. The kid's a fucking phenomenal softball player, shortstop. Hey, so I used to get Brian shit.
Danny playing softball as he is gaming.
yeah, facts. That's factual. I can vouch for that. The first time I met Brian, man, I was already here because I got here in 2012, and then Brian showed up a couple years later, wanted to play for the base team, and he's a couple years younger than me, right? So we're like, he's a new guy, tries out, and hitting ground balls at this kid at shortstop. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, like, Brian is taking grenades off the fucking chest like a champion, like, and I'm just like, yeah, this kid is in for sure. Like, nobody gets in front of the ball like that anymore at this age.
The catcher in me from baseball.
Yeah, so Brian's eating balls off the chest, man, just fucking soaking them up and gunning people out. So he's a good ball player. So that's kind of how we hit it off, man. And we've been close ever since. Brian took off to Germany. We stayed in touch. I'd stay up late at night. Yeah, I'd stay up late at night to hang out with Brian after he got off work or before he woke up or when he woke up for the day or whatever. And we'd get on the game and we'd play and play and play. And we just, like I said, we became brothers. So that's kind of how me and him met. And then I met Danny through Brian, because Brian met Danny through a mutual friend of theirs, and then we've been buddies for quite a few years now on. And so that's kind of how that is. And then Jose and Danny, I'll let them tell you about their story here in a second, but they've known each other pretty much most of their lives. But we all got the chance, unfortunately, minus Brian, I got the chance to meet Danny and Jose before Danny took off to South Dakota, because we were all in Texas at one point together. Now it's just me and Jose in Texas. We're about 3 hours apart from each other. Danny unfortunately had to go suffer in his snow pants and snow boots up north. But, hey, it's, you join the military for experiences, right? And Danny took it with freaking, all thumbs up, new experience. His family was about it. They wanted to go somewhere new, and that's what it's about, man. So, so that's kind of how we met. And like I said, Danny and Jose, they can talk about how they met. So that's kind of how we all four came a a quad squad. You know what I'm saying?
Squad.
Us two and them two. So I'll let them. One of you guys, man, share your story, man. I know you guys have known each other for a while. So,
Dude, so we've known each other since 2005.
Yeah, bro. Freshman year.
Freshman year. Dude,
Freshman
that's wild.
year.
bro, you're
Plus-
a freshman in 25. Hold on. 2005, you're a freshman. Bro,
Yeah.
I graduated high school 3 years before you guys even. No, 4 years before you guys even freaking were freshmen. Bro.
Yeah, there you go. Man. Yeah, man. We dude, how do we meet? We meet in ROTC. We were in JROTC.
It was. I mean, we were at JROTC, but I think we met in math class.
Math. Yeah, we met in math class. But we got real close. We got pretty close because of JROTC. We were both part of the drill team and
The drill team,
just a whole bunch of
color
other
guard,
stuff.
Yeah.
And man, from there, we just kicked it off. We kicked it
Yeah.
off. Fucking went to each other's houses, played pranks on each other, man.
Fuck
I remember
Kool-Aid.
this one time, the Kool-Aid. So he made Kool-Aid with a shitload of sugar and it was orange flavored. And I told him, dude, I'm allergic to this.
Oh
What
my
flavor is
god,
this?
dude.
And it pretty much
Oh, that reminds me.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was-
he was like, "Bro, what flavor is this? It's orange." Dude, I'm allergic to this. I damn
Yeah.
near shit myself, dude. I was like, "Oh
Yeah, man.
fuck," because it was just me and him there at the time. Like my
Yeah,
mom was
yeah.
working or something still.
yeah.
Funny thing about it too, though, man. I think for like a good month and a half, I could not remember his first name since we were in JROTC and it was like Gonzalez. And it's like, "Oh yeah, Gonzalez, this
Yeah.
and that." Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Just come up on my first name. And I'd be like, yeah, okay. And I was like, he's like, Daniel. I was like, all right, yeah, gotcha. It took me a whole month, bro, to remember.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, good times. But yeah, since then, he knows Jackie, who is my wife, and they've been knowing each other since when kindergarten.
Bro, fucking
So that's
kinder,
even
man.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So-
wild. That is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
so
I've known her
they-
since kinder. Fuck yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's about it between us. And then but yeah, back to how I met Donnie and Brian. Shout out to Cologne.
Hell yeah.
He's the one that introduced it to me, to Brian. I remember Brian saying like, "Oh, this guy's a GOAT." And I was like, oh, "Okay, let me see."
Oh, there you go.
And so we ran some Warzone. I was like, "Okay, yeah, he's a lot better than Cologne." So, no offense, Cologne, but yeah. And then that's where I met through Brian. I met Donnie. And then yeah, man, we just kicked it off. And then there was pretty much a little window where we weren't talking, we weren't playing with each other, on Warzone. And then I remember one day I just got on. I was like, I wonder what these guys have been up to.
Yeah.
And then man, we just kicked it off. We just played, got dubs, and now we're here. And
never stopped.
That was last year, right?
stopped.
That was last year.
It was pretty years ago, I
Yeah.
think.
It's pretty recent.
I think it was year before last. Yeah.
Because did we play
Maybe.
when Danny? Did we play when I was in Moody? When I was at Moody?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I know Danny or Donnie and I played a shit ton when I was at Moody, but I don't remember because I was on swing shift then, so it was always late at night if I was playing.
Yeah. So
let me piggyback on this real quick. So one of the reasons why, I'm not gonna say it's the reason why, but one of the reasons why we didn't talk very much is because Brian went to a whole different time zone wherever he went, right? And me and Danny were still in the same time zone. But if you rewind this podcast when you're watching it, rewind it back to when he introduced how he met Brian, right? Donnie was hot garbage at fucking Warzone, and Danny wasn't having none of it, bro.
no, that's not.
Hey, look, I respectfully will tell you when I played Warzone 1, bro, like I was trash. I was garbage. I was just running a gun, shooting at everything, didn't control recoil, nothing. I was an old man gamer, like trying to get into these new age games, right? Because the best that I had ever done was like Nintendo 64 playing GoldenEye, shooting a freaking grenade launcher through a window off the wall.
Dude, have you tried playing that now? Have you tried
No,
playing
I haven't tried playing in a while. But
Fucking aiming is crazy.
I'm waiting for Danny's throwback to GoldenEye when he gets to that.
That's a GoldenEye.
he's got to get through a Sonic quest. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
but yeah, like not a I don't care, right? Like I've always told Brian this, right? It was all about hanging out because think about our situation right now. Like we're four buddies that don't live, like me and Jose are the only ones that are close, and we're 3 hours away from each other, right? It's not exactly close, but this is the easiest way for people to hang out, right? Is online nowadays, right? Especially after COVID and everybody migrating to interpersonal socialism to being stuck in your house and then socializing through and whatever multimedia asset you can think of, right? So you meet a lot of people online. There's probably people that meet online that know each other for years and don't play. That's the kind of like some of us in this little scenario were like I said, I played video games with Danny for 2 years, Jose for almost a year before we actually met in person. And I don't know that we would have or we wouldn't have, but we had tried, right? But the best opportunity was, hey, Danny's getting ready to leave Texas, man. Like we got to do this and make this happen at least. So we did, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, Brian was already gone, but now we talk about it now because we're so close, and we feel like we've known each other forever that we talk about meeting up and shit like that. And if this thing gets big, then we're gonna meet up and shoot a couple episodes, all in this sitting on a casting couch in Jose's fucking bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Like right? Dirty casting couch. You know what I'm saying? So
we can go to Danny's though. It's too cold there.
But
No,
hey, hold on though. But pause. Right in May. We might have an opportunity to all be in the same place. It'll be in fucking South Dakota, but
and I'm officiating.
Yeah, and Jose's officiating. We can go wild out at Danny's wedding renewal and have a hell of a time. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So there's opportunities, and we'll obviously we'll capitalize on what we can. Everybody's got their own lives, so we'll talk about that now. We'll transition into that little thing. Oh, sorry. I am so I'm 40. You don't have to tell your guys' age if you don't want to. I don't care. I'm 40 years old. Okay. I have a 16-year-old daughter who drives and also drives my stress through the roof. And I have a 7-year-old who drives my stress straight through the fucking roof. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got 2 kids. And they're great. I have 2 dogs, and they're about as fucking active as my son. So it's just like a madhouse in here. But you can probably hear them in the background if you pay attention a little bit because their microphone picks them up because they're so freaking loud. But I love my kids, man. They're great. They give me the opportunity to hang out with these guys most nights. I don't always have them, so but it's okay. But when I do have them, they give me a little bit of time to hang out with these guys on Friday nights and stuff like that, and we chill and we play video games and we talk shit. We mostly talk shit. I mean, it's almost like we talk shit and play video games in the background. You know what I'm saying? Like they're streaming, but we're really just hanging out. So, but yeah, now officially we all have kids, right? Which is cool. So we all have experiences to share. So real quick, congratulations to Brian. He's the newest father amongst us all. He's got
the newest one with all the stress.
yeah.
And no sleep.
No sleep.
Let me tell you what. Being 40 and watching one of my best friends struggle through parenthood is both fun and sucks. You know what I mean? At the same time, but
so Donnie, what do I do?
Yeah,
I don't know. Figure it out.
Yeah, man. It's funny to hear him. Like he'll text me sometimes and ask me certain questions, and I'm just like, oh man, I remember those moments. Like what did I do? Right? Like we all go through those as fathers, and Brian's getting it's a very amazing blessing to be a dad, and he gets the fortunate experience to finally experience all that, to know kind of what we talk about when we talk about our kids. So granted, it's my nephew is less than a year old, but he's getting there. He's understanding it. He's as you can see his eyes, he's like he struggles most nights, but he's got a great wife finally. No,
that's a whole other podcast.
We'll talk about we'll do that podcast later, but I'm happy for my boy. His wife, she's great. And yeah, man. So fatherhood, man. How do you guys like? I know everybody likes being a father, right? But let's talk about some of those things, man. Being a father, what it's like, being a gamer, trying to be a gamer, trying to make time for this, right? And then trying to make time for family and kids. Go ahead. Danny, go ahead. Kick it off, bro. What you got?
It's tough. It's tough, man. So a little bit about myself. I'm 33, right? I got
I think so.
I got two. I got two daughters and a son.
Who just celebrated
I'm
a
a
birthday?
baby. Yeah, we just
15.
celebrated my son's birthday. His birthday party is actually tomorrow. Shrek
damn.
theme.
Hey.
That should be gonna be real fun. But yeah, we have a baby pretty much a year. I don't know how many months, but it's like a year and plus change. And
That's hey,
it's
first of
tough.
all, real quick, that's so
It's
refreshing for you to say that instead of go, oh, my daughter is 27 and a half
28 months,
months.
That shit.
Like what I gotta do
Yeah.
math now to know how old your kid is? Like,
Yeah.
come on, just tell me. Like, really?
yeah. But man, it's tough. It's tough being trying to balance work. I'm also going to school, so trying to balance school, being a husband, being a dad, it's tough. And then plus trying to play video games, trying to stream, like you want to do all these things, but it's the time isn't there. So you just pretty much gotta pick the priorities and manage. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, man, for real. Hey, you do a great job at it though, bro. For real.
Yeah.
No joke, right? Like,
Yeah, you
because
got your schedule, man.
we all get to hear, right? Like, and before
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut anybody off and get everybody's gonna hear it, but just since Danny spoke, like, we get to hear right on the other end of it, like you also being a dad while you're also trying to go to school or you're trying to play some
Yeah.
video games at night or whatever. Like, let me tell you what, Danny will drop his controller and his character will die. And he's gonna go help his kid, right? And I think any one of us, and it's not a big deal because
Any
it's a
one of us,
video game,
yeah.
right? Yeah, it's a video game, but I don't think people understand the importance of the simple fact that you have to juggle all that in one hand, and then you're trying to be a streamer, gamer, in your other hand, because that's something you've been wanting to do forever or whatever. And how do you find the balance? You know what I mean? You just kind of one day it's like this, one day it's like this, and you just make it work, man. And I commend you for how well you've done so far, because like I said, I've heard it, I've witnessed it, I've been a part of it. We've talked about it offline or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And you're doing great, man. Going to school, doing work, freaking keeping up with your stream, as many freaking shorts as you post, as many cuts that you take to your videos, man. And now we're adding this to your plate, you know what I'm saying? And you're always 100% trying to be a part of it. So it's great, man. You're doing great, brother.
Thank you.
I agree, man. Hey,
Yeah.
I commend you, dude, because I know
dude.
I know school is tough, especially if you're doing it
Yeah.
like how I was. We're doing them fast-paced courses that are like 8 weeks long, shit like that.
Yeah,
So
terms.
I commend you on that
A
one.
lot of work at once,
I
man.
was glad when I was done with my shit,
Yeah.
because it's a pain, dude.
Yeah.
It's a fucking pain. But a little bit about me. So I have I have one boy, not a 1 year old, but I have one boy. He is 6, going on 17.
Yeah, no shit.
So he's transitioning to coach pitch today.
No, you can't say that. You can't say that like that. Come on now.
Yeah, man, he's transitioning to coach pitch. But the cool thing about that though, man, is so for Christmas he got a little machine that he puts the ball, steps on it, and it shoots it up, like he's lobbing it up to him to hit it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So it took him a good 5 minutes to like get his hand and eye coordination. And then, dude, he just beamed it like out of the fence. Like like that was the best thing. Like the fact that I like freaked out. I was like, dude, you just hit a fucking home run. And I was like, oh, I mean, you hit a home run, dude. And then he was like, yeah, you see it. So that was great. Being a dad is it's amazing, dude. Like it can be tiring for sure. But who cares? Because I mean, as long as you see your kids happy, that's all that matters. It's like the tiredness goes away. And I'm the same way, man, trying to be a husband, to be a dad, and then trying to game, be with the boys, all of that, work full time and all that too as well. So maybe one day if I decide to play the lottery, maybe I'll win the lottery and just fucking go full on stream.
Hook us up, man.
Hey, yeah. Hey,
People.
we're building a podcast studio. That's for show. We have 4 casting couches. No, I'm just kidding.
Buy all Mike's cameras like Donnie's.
So yeah, that's pretty much about a little bit about me too with that, man. Like I said, being a dad, I feel like being a boy dad is a lot more fun because you can be tough with them, for sure. We'll be having Nerf wars here at my house. There's times where I get home, and as soon as I walk in, I get shot in the face by a Nerf gun. So,
As you should.
Nice.
Yeah, that's fun.
So-
So you only have one. You only have one boy. That's it.
I only have one boy.
Okay,
My wife
okay.
and I talked about having another one. And dude, I don't know how these fucking kids on 16 and Predator make it seem like he looked at me and I'm pregnant. Like, bro, like
You guys
I don't
trying?
know. We were trying, and then eventually we were like,
Practicing.
wow, yeah, we were just practicing, you know.
Look, I'm gonna tell you a secret. Look, I'm gonna tell you, and this is Danny. Danny can attest. He's got 25 kids. Okay, this is the secret. It's gonna happen when you stop trying to make it happen. As soon as you stop trying to make it happen, bro, you're gonna get pregnant. Like,
Yes, exactly. Because I know a little bit about with my first one, with my boy. Whenever we were trying, man. So me and my wife got married back in 2018, and we waited about a year, and then we finally started trying. And dude, we were like trying for I think a good 3-4 months, and I'm like, what the fuck? So then my wife went for her annual checkup. Our doctor's like, no, you're good, everything's working fine, and I'm just like, shit, am I shooting blanks? I was worried, and then eventually my wife and I, she's like, well, let's just take a break. If it happens, it happens. Blah blah blah. And sure enough, we stop. It happens. I go to Italy for training with the Air Force, and that's where I find out that she ended up getting pregnant. She's like, she FaceTimes me, and the first thing I see is the little
Pregnancy test.
So yeah, and
that's dope.
it's cool.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Iraq when I found out that my daughter was gonna be, well, that we had conceived my daughter, I guess is the best way to put it, right? Shitty part about it is a year later, I'm back in Iraq when my daughter's about to fucking be born. So, you know, but I'm that old. Yes, I'm that old. But to you too, Jose, you do a great job, man. And I'm not trying to be like the father of the group by any means, right?
But you are.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Because I am like,
You have
what
the
the fuck?
most life experience.
Yeah, you're right. I do have the most. I have the longest life experience. I don't know if I got the most life experience, but same thing. Like Daniel, man. I hear when your son's in the background and he asks you stuff. You know, you always stop what you're doing and like, yo, I'll be right back. I gotta help my son or whatever, man. Because that's what's important. That's what's important. Now, Brian's gonna go next, okay? And we're gonna caveat this because Brian's got a under 1-year-old. I love the dude to death. Like I said, he's like one of my closest friends, man, over the last couple of years. And I don't want to put too much of his personal information out, but it was a hard road to get where he's at. And I'm gonna commend you before you say anything on the other side of it, because I know in the background everything that you had to deal with up until that point, and then to get to the point where you're at now. So don't ever falter just because you've been a dad for less than a year, man, to think that it's not, you know, you haven't put in your time and your effort, because in some aspects, man, you've done a lot more than any one of us have had to deal with and done. So I definitely, as a brother, as a friend, I commend you for what you've done to this point. And I know you're a great dad, and you're shaping up to be a great dad, man. And your wife too, you know, you thank my sister and tell her the same thing. Like, you guys have been doing great dealing with what you've had to deal with, man. And I'm just so happy we've gotten to this part, you know what I'm saying? So, but go ahead, tell your story, man.
Yeah, my little short story. But I'm 36. My wife, Mackenzie, we met in Germany back in 2021, I think. Kind of kicked it off there, met on Tinder, but you know, it is what it is.
Success story, bro.
Hey,
Success story, bro.
Yeah, but you know, started off with Christmas markets and whatnot, traveled around Europe. While we're out there, we're both PCS. I go to Georgia, she goes to Florida. And then we got married 2 years ago, and this coming April it'll be 2 years.
Yeah.
But once we got married, you know, I PCS'd here to Florida where she's at, and we kind of adulted real quick. You know, we bought a house, we got a new car, like started making fixes on the house. Then shortly after, we find out she's pregnant, and then it's just been a roller coaster of emotions, and I mean, everything we had to go through. I mean, real quick, you know, when she got pregnant, everything was good. And then maybe 22 weeks into her pregnancy, like her water broke and she was hospitalized for 2 months. And then he came early. He was supposed to be born in August 23rd, ended up coming June 12th. And then he was in the NICU for those 2 months, an hour away from our house. So we had to juggle driving an hour back and forth. And then we have our dogs and our house here. You know, we were fortunate enough that my parents live in Orlando, so it's only a 6-hour drive to where I'm at. So they were able to come up here, you know, stay with us for a few months. And then her parents came out, my sister came out. So we were fortunate that, you know, my family was very flexible and able to come help us out. That way I could stay out in the hospital while she was there, you know, staying at the Ronald McDonald House close to the hospital when my son was in the NICU. You know, it's something that you don't want anybody to go through. It's probably one of the hardest things I had to do, you know, and then you got to hold it together, you know, as the man, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
for the wife, and, you know, tell her and make sure everything's good, and, you know, running on no sleep and trying to fix this and get the house ready for when, you know, the boy comes home, got to get his room ready, you know, still cut the grass and all the little things you do every day, you know, to make everything run as smooth as if for the day he gets to come home, which he ended up coming home on his actual due date. But now he's 7 months, 5 days ago. Heavy.
He is a
Like,
tank,
He is a
boy.
tank. He is a tank. It's like carrying around a dumbbell.
Man.
I think my back started hurting recently, probably from carrying him around all the time. You know, it just shows my age, but, you know, like we're getting through it. It's good now. Oh yeah, but then, you know, we're both active duty, so we got to juggle work with that as well. You know, she got to work day shift, I got to work swing shift, so that way I watch her while she's at work, and then it's basically like, hi, bye, here's a kid, you know. So that's what we do now. Uh, you know, it's a lot to juggle, you know, but, you know, it's like they've all said, you know, I wouldn't trade it. You know, I've always wanted to be a dad. I mean, I'll tell you, Donnie will tell you, is I was struggling in the beginning,
Yeah, man.
struggling.
Yeah,
You know,
man. It was
my
tough.
wife and I, we make jokes about it. We're like, do we really want to have another one? You know, like,
Yeah.
let's wait a little bit. You know,
Yeah, there's
let's
nothing wrong with that, you know?
yeah. But I think the hardest part was when we came home. Uh, it was like, here's your baby. Now it's all on you, right? When he was in the hospital, you know, like we watch him. We go up there in the morning. You know, we hang out with him all day, feed him, hang out with him. You know, even though he's just sleeping in his incubator, like we're still just there watching Netflix on laptop, just hanging out, being with him. You know, and then we go home and the nurses take care of him, right? So then it's like, once we finally got to take him home, as exciting as that was, right? We get him home and we're like, now it's just us. Like, what do we do? You know, like they don't send
Yeah,
you home
man.
with a manual to
Dude.
what you do. You know, so
Facts. Hey, and every kid
just
is different, man.
yeah,
Every
man.
kid is different.
You know, so but
Daniel
that's
can probably attest that the most.
yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
but
it's
that's
crazy.
But hey,
that's it. Though. But yeah,
that's a
I
while, you know.
wouldn't trade it. But you know,
Yeah.
it's a learning process. Every day is different, but it's a lot of fun. You know, especially seeing the little milestones he hits every time. Every day, he learns something new with him, just with us. You know, like it's a great time.
Yeah, man. Definitely blessed, brother. Definitely blessed. Because that was I mean, like, that was
I
a
still,
full turnaround, you know what I mean?
yeah, I still managed the game though at the hospital.
Yeah, that's true.
Hanging out
Hey,
with the boys, you know.
didn't get a couple of nights where you pulled the laptop out, man, and made it work, you know. But
VPN and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, but you know, that's one of those things, right? Like you're in such a stressful situation, and that's kind of like one of the main reasons we started this channel. We had this idea, we bounced around, me and Danny bounced around you know, ideas to each other, and then we kind of just all got in on it, and we're like, dude, let's do this, because you know, situations like that, right? Like an individual in Brian's situation, man, like you're going through, and we're not going to sugarcoat anything, right? It is an extremely tough time, and neither one of us three know exactly what it's like to go through what Brian went through, right? only from the friendship side of it do we know, you know, kind of the struggles that he had to deal with, and you know, I probably know the most out of all of us outside of Brian, obviously, right? Because I'm telling you, me and Brian talked every day during that whole situation, man. And I was trying to be a shoulder for him and his wife to lean on as much as I possibly could, try to keep spirits up, you know what I mean? And there's some damper days, man. There's some down days that it's just tough. Like, but you get to those couple of days during that period of time where you get just the little glimpse of hope, and it kind of like just, it revitalizes everybody. Right. And when you don't get those days, you get moments like, what else can you do? Right. But lean on your friends. And you jump on the game, even if it's for 30 minutes or it's for an hour, you know what I mean? You get a little
great
outlet. You just get to break free for a minute and just kind of like not necessarily forget about your situation that you're in, but just clear your mind for a moment of clarity and say, you know what, let me revitalize, freaking motivate myself and get off of this thing and get back into this and get back into the fight type kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about, right? And that's what this podcast is that we're hoping to create, is not necessarily that situation, but that same type of, hypothetical, right? Like people who are in need and just need an outlet. And to be perfectly honest with you, we're 4 good buddies, and we're 4 different characters, 4 different personalities, and we come from our own perspectives, and we bring everything to the table from every direction. You know what I mean? And it's great. And but yeah, man, like I said, Brian, man, it was a tough time, man. And it's just, I'm blessed that we're all here at this point now, especially with all that. And then I'm thankful that we all got to share that with you, and then we could be there for you for all that, because, what can you do when there's nothing you can do, really? Yeah. You just got to sit back and wait. And that can be tough. Cause I can sit back and say, until I'm blue in the face, like what I would have done if my kid was in that situation, but who really knows what I would have done if my kid was in that situation. Right. Like, so, blessed, man. And I'm glad I could be a part of that. And I know these guys are glad that we could be a part of it as much as we could, man. And we're just happy that, we got to this point, man. So, yeah. So what do we talk about next? I mean, let's talk about the future, the outlook on what we want to do with this page. I think from everybody's perspective, right? Because we've been talking about this for those obviously that are going to watch this and kind of like decide if they want to be a part of this community or whatever, right? With us, I think it's a smart idea to kind of share what not necessarily our main objectives are with the podcast, but kind of like touch on what we're going to be working towards, right? And I think the biggest thing that we all can agree on is that we want to make a community of outreach for people that just need outreach, right? Gaming community, veteran community, an intermixing of the two. And we'll run it like as best as we can as similar type podcasts, right? Having people on, talking to people about their experiences, their life experiences, whatever, sharing stories, sharing laughs together, just kind of showing how a couple of old heads that play video games and have military similar experiences just kind of hang out, man, and talk shit. You know what I mean? So I think what attracted me the most personally was, for me, so I'll share my backstory quickly, briefly about my my military experience. So I was an operator. I did 15 years. I was in Afghanistan. To make it short and sweet, I got blown up in a MRAP. For those of you that don't know, then look it up. Right? I'm not gonna fucking break the details down, but I got blown up in an MRAP. A 50 cal ammo can blasted me in the chest when the truck flipped. I walked out of there into a small arms firefight in the middle of Kabul. And all in all, came out unscathed from what I thought, just banged up and bruised up. A couple days after this whole incident happened, I was on the PT pad and I was walking, like just gingerly walking on a regular day, just kind of relieved that today was like a stress-free day. And I noticed that I was having problems breathing. Like I couldn't catch my breath. And if you guys pay attention, like sometimes you'll hear me when I'm talking, I get long winded or whatever. Like I'm gasping for air in certain
Donnie, real quick,
aspects.
do Jose and Danny have they heard this story before?
I don't know. So if they haven't, it's good for the podcast.
Because I could tell in their faces. I was like,
Yeah. So
okay,
they're
they
gonna
haven't heard this.
Yeah, they're gonna get the full
I've
experience.
heard the short version.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get and this is a little bit longer than the short version, but so yeah, so I'm like trying to figure out like why I can't breathe. And I'm in the middle of Afghanistan, and for those of you that haven't been there, in the military side of it, it's dirt, dust, and shit in the air everywhere. Tires burning all day long because there's, they're warning people about, Americans going out into town, things like that. So the air quality is probably in the negatives regions. You know what I mean? Like it ain't zero. It's less than zero. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought it was a regular day. Like, okay, yeah, it's Afghanistan air, fucking burn pits. People are burning shit, burning tires, whatever. I can't fucking breathe. Let me just go inside. So I go inside and I take a break and I'm like, dude, I still cannot breathe. Like, this is like going on 20 minutes. Like, I can't fucking breathe. So I go see the fucking crow and I'm like, hey, sir, I feel weird. Right. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I feel like I can't breathe or I can't catch my breath. Like I should have caught my breath by now. I can't catch my breath. So, upon further investigation, they're like, oh, dude, something's wrong. Like your oxygen levels are stupid low. Like they shouldn't be this low, even for this air quality. Like something's not right. So we do a couple more tests and then I end up getting fucking shipped off to Germany, go do some scans and some x-rays. And I come to find out like my right lung is not working. Okay. So this is the visual that I give everybody. Okay. Look, these are your lungs. Okay. When you breathe in and you breathe out. And if you're looking at them on like a live x-ray, right, you can see air inflating and deflating out of your lung. They don't always go like super flat or whatever, but you can tell the difference from when you're breathing, right? Well, if you look at my live x-ray at this time, this is what you see is you see both depressed and you see just one working like this. The other one just kind of sits, right? And I didn't know that at the time. Okay. The doctor was like, hey, like your right side doesn't sound like you're breathing correctly, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what the fuck that means. That doesn't sound good. But you know what I mean? Like, so he pulls up this TV, literally it's like a TV screen on like an L hinge freaking hanging from the wall with 18 different freaking cords hooked up to it, right? He flips like 3 different screens and it goes to like a live x-ray screen. And I'm looking right at it, right? And it's like pointed towards my chest. You see my lungs. You can see like I'm breathing. And then he's like, look at this. And like the one's just sitting there. The other one's just like, and I'm like, he's like, nope, no, yeah, you're right. That doesn't look like it's supposed to. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. Is this side of the screen broken or what is the deal, right? And he's like, no. He's like, yeah. So, after that begins the process of, for those of you that don't know, breathing is important, especially when you're in the military, right? You can't PT, you can't freaking operate normal duties. You can't fulfill whatever your job is because you're having problems breathing. So then begins the medical process. And long story short, I got retired at 15 years. I didn't want to. I would have stayed in probably till, at least doing what I did, I would have stayed in until probably 30 if they'd have let me. Maybe not 30, but maybe plus 20, right? So yeah, man. So that's kind of what happened. We can talk details on the long story and the actual story maybe one day on the podcast if I feel like sharing, because it is a fucked up story. But so that's kind of where it's at, man. So for me, back to what I was getting at originally, just so people have context, right? And to eat up an hour. No, I'm just kidding. For me, it's the PTSD thing. Okay, like gaming for me alleviates the PTSD because in the aspect of it is I don't get flashbacks and get fucked up where I'm like curled up in a ball. And there's no disrespect to any of my fellow veterans that have those problems. Okay. I have plenty of combat experience, downrange and things like that. So that's just one of those things that just doesn't bother me in that aspect. But for me, it's the missing out of that sometimes, right? It's the feeling of the loss that I didn't get to finish what I started, right? So I get essentially PTSD from that. I feel like my time was cut short, unfortunately, right? I know now, okay? I know now 9 years after I've retired, And it took me quite a few years, but over the last couple of years, I've realized that, that was something that was beyond my control. And I can't be mad at myself for it. I can't be mad at anybody else for it. It was just an unfortunate circumstance, right? But when I first got out, man, I was mad at the world because I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. I didn't get to finish the time that I wanted to finish. I didn't get to 20. I didn't get to do all these things, right? So when you're in that mental state of just all of these things, and you're blaming things, and you're coming up with excuses, so to speak, or whatever, right? It's tough, man. And that is what people don't understand. Like, that's a form of PTSD, right? Missing out, like what do they call it? FOMO in the civilian world, right? Like FOMO is a thing, is a version of PTSD. There's many different versions of PTSD. And that was it for me. That affected me the most was the feeling like, I got shit on, right? Or making an excuse that I got shit on and I had to end my career prematurely. So playing the game at first was kind of like a way to kind of fulfill that missing thing for me, get me back in the fight type shit. I had always known since I was little that I was going to serve in the military. I didn't know in what capacity and whatever. My dad told me that around the time that I joined, my dad told me that I couldn't join because all the Marines were getting sent to Iraq, and my dad was like, there's no fucking way that you're going to be joining the Marine Corps and they're going to send you to Iraq right out of fucking boot camp and your mom kills us both. And I'm like, okay, fair. So I walked into a couple of different recruiters' office, and lo and behold, I ended up joining the Air Force, doing some cool shit. And but yeah, for me, like I said, sorry, that got long-winded, but yeah, for me, it's that part of the PTSD that brings it together. It's that brotherhood, it's that team aspect, and that's why doing this together, all four of us, man, it's important to me because it fulfills that, and it makes me feel like I'm a part of a winning team, if that makes sense. So yeah. So thanks for that. Thanks for joining me on this venture, you guys. And and yeah, you'll get to learn. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more about each other that we don't know. Like there's probably not a lot that we don't know about each other, but there's going to be some stuff. So
yeah. So talking about PTSD. So I'm gonna tell you mine, man. So I didn't do all the crazy shit like you did, but I also deployed to Afghanistan. I was in Rocket City, people also know that as Bagram. I was there in 2018. The first day that I got there, as soon as we got out of the plane, we went into our press go thing, went through our meetings and shit. We were getting our reporting like, hey, this is what you're gonna do. And it's like when you hear this siren and they were about to start playing the sound of the siren, sirens go off. And they're like, oh shit, everybody on the floor, blah, blah, blah. So at the floor. And then they're like, all right, well, now let's go back to the training. It's like, we don't have to play the sound for you anymore. Yeah, that's not what we did. Continue doing whatever. 6 months later, come home. But during those 6 months, we got attacked. I think I still have my boomy hat, and it has about 80 hashes. Every single time I'll get attacked, I'll put a hash, and it's literally from one side to the other. When I came home, it was rough for me. One, I didn't realize what the hell was going on. My wife couldn't talk to me or look at me in any like weird way because I would just snap. 2 years later, I deployed to Jordan. And 2 weeks of me coming home, I just completely like go from being great uppity to just don't talk to me, whatever. My supervisor there says like, hey, I'm not telling you to, but I would love for you to go to mental health and talk to them. So I go talk to them. Well, what comes to find out is I was going through FOMO, or the fear of FOMO, because I started having flashbacks of when I came back from Afghanistan. So that's another thing. Let me go back a little bit as well. When I left to Afghanistan, my kid was only 3 weeks old. I come home, he's 7 months old. So when I come home during that time, going through this whole PTSD without me knowing that it was PTSD, there'll be times where I'll just be carrying my son, but I'll be disconnected. So being in Jordan, that started coming back to me. It's like, shit, I'm about to go home. my kid's older now. He understands a little bit better. What if I am the exact same way? Like, he's going to think I'm a horrible dad and this, like, so it hit me hard, man. And come home, and I was able to manage a little bit better, I guess, just from talking to mental health. And then come home, go to the VA. And during that time, it's still COVID. So I go to the VA, but it's all virtual. Start talking to counselors, and I'm just bawling, man. But like, I couldn't talk to them at home because I would feel bad with my wife being here. So you see me like bawling like at a McDonald's parking lot, talking to a counselor on the phone and shit like that. So that's mine. And the same thing with me, man. Video gaming and just talking to people. Like I said, like I don't have the operator experience like you do, but like just having somebody who understands what I've gone through or in some way, like understands what I've done, makes me feel better, like helps me out, helps me cope. And just gaming like helps a lot as well. So for sure.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I get it.
I don't think you even know that, Daniel, do you?
No,
Or not that
I mean,
much?
not that much, not to that aspect, but I knew stuff was happening, right? Because you bring it up once in a while, but I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah, so that's why when we went to visit you in Las Vegas and we were out there on the shooting range, I was perfectly fine because out there it looked like fucking Bagram.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I'm good right now. Like as bad as it sounds, Bagram was the most ugliest but prettiest place ever because I got there when it was snowing and I left when it started snowing. So you could still see like the snow and everything on the mountains, and you're just like, "What the fuck? I'm in this desert and there's snow,
bro." Hey, that shit tripped me out the first time too. It's fucking 150 degrees in the daytime, bro. It drops up below fucking 20 at night. You're like, "What the fuck is going on?" It gets this cold in the desert, bro. Wild. I feel you, man. I feel it.
So that's my story, or a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll go more into detail on another talk on whatnot.
Yeah, man, it's tough, man. But that's the thing, right? Is a lot of people are afraid to talk about it, and you don't have to talk about it, right? Sometimes just listening to other people talk about it helps, and I learned that the hard way, right? My my PCM through the VA was like, look, you need to go to these groups and sit in these groups, and it's like you don't have to talk, you don't have to share, just hang out, listen to other people's stories, right? And I started to get to the point where I was like, man, I'm not the only one who's dealt with shit, right? And I think that's a lot of the problem that most veterans have, unfortunately, is we all single ourselves out because that's just kind of what we do. At least for men. I can't speak on women's behalf, right? Women have a different experience because let's face it, now with you guys, right? It's a little different. But my time, like women didn't do what they do now in the military. And they weren't allowed in most parts of the combat zone, and they're very segregated, and they were in safe zones, a lot of the green zones, like that kind of stuff. They didn't go outside the wire unless maybe you were a cop or whatever, and even then it was very rare to see like a female. So I'm 50-50 on that whole thing, and that's another topic for another podcast, right? It's like but that's kind of how it was when I was doing that stuff out there. Is I was still a part of that old school military way of life, right? It was mostly men digging in the dirt, sleeping in ditches, walking, humping trails, flying over, crazy zones, dead zones, hot zones, red zones, green zones, whatever, right? Like you didn't see very many females doing any of that stuff. And so I think the experience is a little bit, it's always different. And I, like I said, I don't take anything away from women and what they have in their experiences from their PTSD. But for men have a tendency to single themselves out as individuals, no matter what the situation is. Even if you're in a team aspect like me or some of these other guys are, deployed with a 80 personnel unit and you're, humping through the desert all day, right? Somebody somewhere is still thinking that it was just them, right? And it's not just you. There's other people who've shared similar experiences. There are people who are in the same shit you are in. You know what I mean? Like we're not out there one man fighting 40 fucking thousand Taliban or whatever, right? In the middle of the desert. It's a military effort. So there's people who share that similar experience. And I think we need to remember that sometimes, you know what I mean? thankfully the VA process has gotten a lot better with recognizing PTSD and understanding how it works and things like that, and giving people more opportunity to get the care and the help they need. So, you know, that's good. And even those guys who are on active duty, man, you guys got to speak up. Like my time frame, right? Most people were afraid to go to mental health because it was like, oh, it's career damaging or career ending. You know what I mean?
End my career, for sure.
You take one trip there, man, and it's like, don't go to mental. Everybody's like, no, just don't go to mental health, man. Just go talk to somebody else. Go talk to a chaplain or whatever, somebody who's sworn by secrecy or whatever. And like, come on, man. Like, we can't do that because what does that do for the next guy? Nothing. Right. And then the process just repeats itself over and over and over again. And that's where we've gotten to until the last couple of years. That's why there's so many people with problems out there. That's why you see so many homeless people that are like, that were veterans or have signs that were veterans and they need help because they didn't know back then what to do and how to get the help they needed. You know what I mean? So if you're ever out and about and you see a guy with a homeless sign, he's a veteran. First of all, verify that he's a veteran, because there are people who steal valor, right? But and if he is a veteran, just help him out, man. Point him in the right direction. That's all it takes. Give him a ride. Give him a ride to the VA. Give him a ride to the VFW. Hell, take him to the American Legion, whatever. Somebody he can reach out to somebody, and you just might change his life. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyways, what about you, Daniel? Man, what's your outtake on why you wanted to do this podcast and be a part of this podcast, brother?
It's tough, man. So I remember I'm gonna touch on how we came up with the idea. So I was at work and I work in the maintenance field, right? My AFSC is a 2W1 armament technician, and we work with weapons on the aircraft. And pretty much short and sweet, there's a lot of suicides. There's a lot of suicides in maintenance, and especially in my career field, there's been, since I've been in, I want to say there's been about six suicide deaths, and I'll never be able to relate to someone who has PTSD, right? I don't have PTSD. I'll never be able to relate to someone who has suicide thoughts. But I think I can relate to you with gaming. And that's sort of why I want to do this. And I can relate to you with video games, with all types of different types of games, because I know about that. I know what it is to like beat a boss. I know what it is to like get a Warzone dub. I know what it is to get a camo, like.
Not me.
Hey, you got gold though. You got gold.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the aspect of why I want to really do this. I want to help. I want to help our military members who are kind of lost, and sort of find hope in this, and it's pretty hard for me to describe this, but it's pretty much help. I just want to help, and I think gaming and this pretty much podcast, we can sort of do that, and we can network and pretty much find a way, find to do it.
Absolutely,
I like that for sure, man. For sure.
Oh yeah, man.
It's much appreciated, bro. For real. Like, there's people who talk the big talk and say they want to do this and say they want to do that, but then they don't ever do anything else, right? And that's unfortunate. But there are those that are out there that they try to do things, you know what I mean, and they do the best they can, man. And that's all you can do, bro. And I'll tell you, man, personally, like it means more than you'll ever know to somebody in any one of our situations. You know what I mean? Like, just to have somebody to talk to, somebody to lend an ear. You know what I mean? Just to freaking talk about a bad day that relates to whatever the fuck happened 10 years ago, man. It's wild to think about it, but it's a real thing. So I'm glad that you're willing to help, and I know you are, because we've talked plenty of times about it, man. And I know you're motivated to do it, and it's awesome. So
Yeah.
Daniel, for those of you guys, for you two that don't know, Daniel kind of kicked me in the butt and was like, "Hey, you need to just fucking pick it, send it, and start it." And I was like, "All right, fucking Saturday, Friday meetup, let's do this, right?" And because he's passionate about it. But we know Daniel will say stuff when he needs to say stuff, but he's not always the guy that jumps in front and says like, "Hey, we'll fucking take charge." You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that you go, "Hey, what do you think?" Talks on the sideline, provides great input, and then allows somebody else to freaking take the lead on it. And he's always got the support. He's always there to support. So we appreciate it too. So so Brian, man, let's talk about where you're at with all this, man.
Me, man, it's just for the brotherhood, I've always been a better listener than talker. I learned that at a young age with older siblings. You learn and listen what they do wrong to get in trouble, so you don't do it. But no, I've always, like I said, been a better listener. So friends, family, I try and put myself in their shoes when they tell me they're whatever the case may be, what they tell me, but give whatever aspect I can. I'm not as wise and old as Donnie, but I'm almost there. I don't have the PTSD. I've been to bog room, but I think I never allowed myself the time or gave myself the effort to process where I was and what I maybe went through during that deployment. I've been on 2 deployments, Bagram and Djibouti. Bagram was a real deployment. Djibouti was like a vacation. Just in a hot area. But I don't know. I think I don't have that PTSD or whatnot, just because when I got back, it was I had just bought a new house, so I never had the time to sit down and process it. It was do this on the house, do this on the car, fix this, fix that. That was all during my first marriage, which was another podcast episode we can talk about. But I'm always busy, and having this podcast as something to vent on and talk about my day or issues or gripes, complaints, good things, bad things, just with the boys, to allow me somebody to listen to me, not that, I don't have my wife, great supporter, but if, so right now she's sleeping, right? And I get off of work and I got nobody to talk to. I know these guys are up gaming, so I hop on, whether I'm playing or not, I can just hop on and be like, yo, listen to this, listen to what happened to me, or what happened to me and Mackenzie or whatever the case. Let me share something about something my son did, or just whatever the case. It's a brotherhood, and it's what got me excited about doing the podcast, because I'm not the talker of the group. I'm quiet, mostly because I got a baby sleeping in the room next to me. But I talk when I need, and usually when I have something to say, it's got some weight to it, or some input that has some meaning to it.
I agree for sure.
That's it in a nutshell.
I can vouch for that. Brian has more than once been the voice of reason for many things, stupid things too, right? Like a bunch of grown men on a softball team arguing about dumb shit, trying to fight. Brian's like, why don't you guys just shut the fuck up and go home? It's really that simple sometimes, right? Brian, I can tell you, okay, the group of guys that we played ball with all have heads this fucking big. Okay, let's just be real. We're grown men playing slow pitch softball. Like there's bound to be some egos on the field, right?
For sure.
And Brian was never that guy that lost his cool, man. He was always just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, why are we fighting about this shit? Like, we're all good ball players. Just fucking win the game. And it'd be simple like that, right? And that's really how it is. And I agree with you, man. It's about the brotherhood, for sure. That's another great aspect of it, man. It's just camaraderie. You know what I mean? Being there for those that you can be. You know, we don't have to know each other from fucking Sam, to be honest with you, at the end of the day, right? But to know that we have similar experiences, just because you put on a uniform and chose to fucking sign your life away for 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, 12 years, whatever, right? Like, you get more respect from me than most people will ever give you, because they don't understand that sacrifice. They don't understand what it's like to be, 17, 18, 19 years old and have to decide what the fuck you're going to do next with your life because you just graduated high school and you don't want to go to college because school sucks. You know what I mean? Like, or you struggle through school, or it's just not for you, right? What do you do next? You go, you tell the government, hey, I'll be your fucking bitch for 4 years for less, and that's the reality of it, right? Like, I will be your slave robot for the next 4 years of my life for less than minimum wage, to be yelled at and scrutinized and treated like a piece of trash, right? And I'm not saying that's everybody's experience, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing the military. I'm just putting it into a perspective that most people can understand, right? Everybody's like, and this is going to be a big podcast one whenever we get to this one. But when you talk to those civilians that go, oh, you're from the military, like, blah, 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 blah. You have all this and you get all this taken care of. Like, bitch, I don't know who the fuck told you that shit, but it ain't all fucking rainbows and fucking Skittles. Like, yeah, it is not. It's not the greatest experience. Some people have the worst experiences in their life in the military, and it's very unfortunate. And they lead to things like what Daniel talked about. They lead to situations where they stress themselves out way too much because they're not performing, or they're being told they're not performing, because the culture of the military, right, for a long time has been disciplined by any standard, unfortunately, right? Nowadays, it's getting a lot better. And at first, I was like, oh god, the military.
Some people will call it soft, exactly.
Yeah, and I was one of those guys, right? Military's turning soft, and they're they don't fucking yell at anybody in boot camp no more. They don't make people do push-ups and shit like that. But to be honest with you, bro, like, in a world like that today, like, it wouldn't get any better. You'd still have so many people committing suicide. You'd still have so many people stressing the fuck out and, killing people, or going to work fucking trying to hurt other people, or, purposely damaging aircraft for pilots to fly and die. Like, that shit used to happen back in the day. There's many veterans that can jump on this podcast from any time frame and tell you about stupid, crazy stories they heard about. And you know why? Most of the time it's because that individual didn't have the proper outlet. That individual had a supervisor that was hounding them for something stupid, and they're making it a big fucking deal instead of taking the time to stop and pull them back 2 steps and say, look, let me show you how to do this the proper way so you don't fuck it up the next time. Instead of going, you're a fucking sorry piece of shit. I don't know why your mom let you join the military. She shouldn't have ever signed the fucking form. Like, that culture, bro, we have to abolish that culture. It's unfortunate, but we really have to abolish that culture, or we're going to have no fucking future. So
facts.
So I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a good ending point. It was great to hear everybody's story, and it's more brightening to see like where this could go and how much enjoyment we could all get out of it. So I'm glad we
actually did it.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally decided to do it.
Yeah, man.
We finally decided to do it. We talked about it for months and months, man. And then, hey, everybody's got life, right? And that's a thing we'll talk about throughout the podcast. Everybody has life, especially in the military. It, caters to a bunch of different things that you don't necessarily want to do, but have to do, right? So, all right, everybody. On behalf of me and the boys, I just want to say thanks for joining us for our very first podcast for Gaming Vets Unplugged. We hope you enjoyed what you saw, and we hope that you'll join us again in the future. Thanks to everybody for watching. See you on the next one.